The dark night of the soul. You may be going through a spiritual awakening, and you could be wondering, why is this all happening to me right now? Spiritual awakenings can sometimes be a painful process. Many people go through the dark night of the soul as they're waking up. The starting process of waking up usually starts after a difficult experience in life. The ego gets smashed. This is a period of life in which one hits complete rock bottom, whether it be from addictions, loss of a loved one, an accident, a health problem, an injury, or something else that rips the ego and happiness apart. The waking up process starts after an experience like this. We start asking questions, existential questions like, what is my path in life? Or what is the purpose of life? Or even, why am I still alive? Waking up in this way is not the case for everyone. Some people will wake up spontaneously with a certain thought or emotion that breaks the fabric of what we thought was reality in our minds and makes us look at life in a different way. I will be talking about what the dark night of the soul is, how to get through it, and what's going on the other side. So stay tuned. Hey, I'm Baljit Saini, and I'll be guiding you through what the dark night of the soul is. So let's get started. Okay, so what is the dark night of the soul? I'll explain by giving several metaphors. The dark night of the soul is a transformation process. It's a transition from your old self to an unknown new self. It can be a painful experience. It can be a painful time in life that may seem like complete darkness, but when you come out of the other side, you understand the meaning of the fact that one cannot experience light without darkness. The dark night of the soul can be accompanied with a lot of fear, anxiety, depression, and feelings of unworthiness. The transition process is unique to each and individual person. The question to ask yourself is, if you are going through the dark night of the soul, if this experience were to last forever, what quality would have to emerge for me to have peace of mind? Maybe some focus and direction, maybe some coping strategies, maybe some lifestyle changes. Let me know in the comments below if you're going through the dark night of the soul and what quality you would have to emerge for you to have peace of mind. Let me know in the comments below. It'll help me understand what my viewers are going through so I can be of service to you. In order for one to escape the dark night of the soul, lifestyle changes can allow them to move through the experience much faster. Being aware of what's going on while it's going on is very important. Some people use negative behaviors like drinking or gambling to excess to numb themselves during the process, and this can prolong the dark night. There's no way to know how long this might last. It's different for each person, but it typically lasts anywhere from a couple of months to a couple of years. The more aware one is of what's going on, and the more we can begin to change our lifestyles to heal the trauma that's going on, whether mentally, physically, or spiritually, the faster we will come out of the dark night of the soul. The reason that the dark night is so painful is that the soul brings up things that need to be healed during this time. Our soul is basically using our body as a vessel to learn lessons before it moves to the next level of consciousness. We begin to understand that we may be a starseed or a light worker, and that our consciousness is being elevated. I am getting the chills right now. A lot of times the dark night experience turns us into light workers or healers because we have learned so much about healing at this time that we want to share our experiences on how to heal ourselves and others. However, if we carry baggage full of lies to ourselves or others, negative thinking patterns, unhealthy eating patterns, drinking or self-sabotage, and lower frequency habits, we will need to purge that out of our inner and outer life. This process may cause emotional, physical, and spiritual withdrawals. It is these withdrawals that make the dark night of the soul so painful. Pain is weakness leaving out of the body. And the soul knows that in order for growth to happen, these things need to be left behind so that you can enter the version of yourself of the higher vibrational being. So, what are some painful experiences that you've had while waking up? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to know. The dark night of the soul is the most difficult part of the spiritual awakening. That's because all the stuff that's being brought up to the surface by the soul is not just from this lifetime, but also from previous lifetimes that were not healed quite yet. Our karma is constantly being stored in infinite consciousness. The soul is connected to this infinite consciousness and has a way to pick and choose what it needs to be healed and when. Consciousness is not just inside of our brains, but also outside of us. The entire universe is conscious. So we are constantly creating karma with our current actions as well as resolving past karmic events. If we need to conceptualize this, we can think of karma as a bank account. Our good actions are like credit cards and our bad actions are like debits. We are in a constant state of storage and retrieval. The dark night is like us having to pay off our debt after we have run out of money. Once it's paid off, we're relieved and we can start seeing the light again. But because of the severe lessons learned in the process, we decide to never make this mistake again. This in turn elevates our consciousness and raises our vibration so much that we want to give the gift of service to others. Service can range from charitable or volunteer work, helping, healing, education, helping the elderly, helping people with spiritual progress, helping people with health or with money, and even helping animals by feeding them or taking care of them. We just want to help others at this point, while keeping our mental, physical, and spiritual health in shape. The soul knows what it's doing. Once it realizes you are ready to raise your vibration, it'll purposely bring up things that need healing so that you can move forward into higher states of consciousness. This includes traumatic events that have not been healed yet, like the death of someone close, or let's say a certain buildup of expectations from a life that you worked so hard building up collapses. One cannot move into higher states of consciousness before healing or mastering the lower levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you want to know more about the hierarchy of needs and raising our consciousness to higher and higher levels, please check out my previous video called Higher Levels of Consciousness and Raising Your Vibrations for Spiritual Ascension, which goes into depth on this subject. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, it would be awesome if you can like, subscribe to my channel. At this point, I want to be of service to people who are looking for answers to certain questions, and when people subscribe to my channel, it really helps those people find the answers. So please subscribe and share this video if you can. Thank you so much. Now, as we're traveling through the dark night of the soul, it feels as if we're dying because we can experience symptoms of depression, anxiety, fear, panic, hopelessness. But that's because we technically are dying. The old version of us is dying so that we can be upgraded to a new version, like a reptile shedding its skin. Let me give you an example of what happened to me. I have actually had 2 dark nights of the soul in my life, but I honestly numbed myself during the first one and didn't think it was part of a spiritual awakening until my most recent one, which was the real deep trench that I went through. It was like a nightmare marathon as it lasted 2 years, and this was actually recent. But the first one was in 2008 when I was in a severe car accident in which the car flipped several times and I was pronounced dead at the scene. There was blood everywhere, all over the freeway, and luckily I survived after being rehabilitated back to life. I had 4 big rows of stitches on my scalp, 50 staples, as you can see. The scars are still there, and several other injuries. What I went through was a dark night, and I started realizing that I'm here for a bigger purpose. This is what started my awakening journey. I started to get very interested in manifestation, meditation, Reiki, and chakras. By 2010, I was so interested that I started practicing on my own without guidance. I found a Reiki master who helped attune me to the 2nd degree level Reiki in India. But after a few months, I started numbing myself with parties, alcohol, and external pleasures. I was still interested in spirituality, but I was under the impression that I could do all these things and be spiritual at the same time. I basically went on a roller coaster of severe ups and downs in life, where ups were spiritual progress and downs were partying like no tomorrow. So this led to my second dark night, in which I had gone through 2 years of trauma, anxiety, depression, and regret. Anyone who comes out of the dark night of the soul will come out a different person. They have transformed their state of consciousness to higher levels. Life has meaning again, but it's not necessarily a conceptual meaning that you can explain. Usually, it is a surreal way of looking at life and experience life with more joy, because the state therein is almost always going to be better than the dark night of the soul. For some people, This is the second time they're waking up. Maybe the first time they didn't take waking up seriously. And maybe this time they have realized their true calling. I had to purge all of the trauma, negative habits, and racing mind and heal my anxiety. This took quite a while, but when one does start seeing the light, they're healing or having healed and become as pure as possible to spiritually awaken even further. My real awakening started after the dark night of the soul. I don't consider myself an enlightened being or someone who has reached samadhi or an ascended master or anything like that, but I know I'm headed for as close to that as I can get to it. When we start healing mentally, physically, and spiritually, we start raising our frequencies and Kundalini energy. Our soul notices this, and for some, their third eye begins to open. I had to go through the dark night to really appreciate the awakening process. I now have a deeper sense of purpose, connectedness, and motivation as I'm becoming a new version of myself, and the old version has experienced an illusory death. All right, everyone. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for listening. If you thought this video was helpful and you can relate in any way, it would be awesome if you can give it a like, a share, and please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of luck on your spiritual journey, and I mean that.